straight off the top, congratulations on the studio.
Thank you.
Man, oh man, it's good. I've seen 4 of them already.
Thank you so much.
And it's really, really great. It's great on so many levels.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, really well done.
Thank you.
Very cool. My favorite thing, I was thinking, like, as I was watching, it was like, I just like that someone's making us feel happy about LA for a minute.
Yeah, it really. I love Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to show the beauty of LA and what it's nice. The nice. I mean, it's all over LA, but like, it's fine. As we were originally putting like the idea for the show together, me and Evan, my writing and directing partner, were like to us, a lot of our experience in Hollywood is being in like very beautiful places, having very stupid arguments. And that was like a cornerstone of the show, I think, was the juxtaposition of like these amazing buildings and locations. And LA's a very beautiful city a lot of the time. And you're just often screaming at each other about the stupidest shit in the entire world in these places.
I love Warner Brothers. That's just such a perfect lot.
Yeah, it's a great lot. It's amazing.
God, it's so good there.
Yeah, it's really, really, really nice.
Yeah.
We wanted it's like it's one of the older lots. It's all they're all amazing in their own way.
Yeah.
Like, they're all really quite beautiful,
They are.
Yeah, but Warner Brothers, it hasn't been filmed that much, Warner Brothers also, I feel like. They used it a little bit in Mank, I think, but it's not. It's like a slightly undershot lot. Paramount's like in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. The first that office where you're going in, where it's supposed to be like a shrine to filmmaking, whatever. That office.
That's not real.
Yeah. Well, the shrine's not, but that building right there is, right? When you're walking up past those like little bungalow offices across.
That's real, but like the actual office where the show is set is not a real. It's
right.
It's
On the
set.
inside.
Yeah, and the outside. The outside is not real as well. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all. It's like a trickery. It's like a facade combined with visual effects, basically.
Oh, very cool.
No, that's actually the Warner Brothers television building, which is an incredibly unremarkable building.
Yeah, because
building that we covered up basically and built like a big giant fake Frank Lloyd Wright building there.
All right, cool. Because when you're coming up, there's all those little buildings on the side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had my very first table read ever out here was in that building.
Those are all real. Yeah.
Right.
We seamlessly folded a fictional building into the lot, basically.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I don't know who you know over at Apple, but they're spending a lot of money because it looks gorgeous. The whole thing looks like a beautiful film.
Thank you. Yeah, we hired a really great cinematographer named Adam Newport-Berra. And it's funny. I came up doing comedy that was incredibly improvisational and I would say like the look of it was not the priority for the most part.
You're never thinking it.
I remember once we were making 40-Year-Old Virgin and I like made a suggestion to Judd about like a way to make the frame nicer and he like straight up made fun of me. like it was like I was met with mockery with like the desire to have the composition of the shot be a little nicer. And so it really like, I think more and more, and going back to the 70s and 60s, comedy. It's not like there's no good looking comedy, but it's just not. It's not how I was brought up making comedies.
No.
Really, was like a focus on the look, And so me and Evan really thought it would be nice to try to make something that. That was a real challenge to make something that was very funny, but also hopefully very beautiful in a lot and kind of like, because it's also about movies. So it feels like it should speak that language like fluently, and be, and kind of feel like it's made by people who are well versed in that, so you kind of like subconsciously feel like we can maybe speak on it with like a little more authority. So I think adding beauty and like technical acumen, like adds to the joke of the show in a lot of ways.
It does. Yeah, because it is so crazy that you are making this when they're trying to make great films. Like it is such a special thing. Yeah. But the chaos behind it of what it is, every single step of what it is completely insane.
It's really, it's
warts
honestly really like that. Like if anything, this is, I would say like a sympathetic portrait of how crazy it tends to be from my experience. Yeah,
man, so many things have to go right before you get there.
Yeah.
It really, it was funny because you talking in the first one, I think about, she's trying to get this shot, without any cuts. It's just gonna be one long shot, and it was like, wait a minute, I think they're doing that to me watching this first episode. Wait, I don't think there's been a cut. I started like scrolling back to see if there was, and you did, right?
With every scene, there's one episode that's has no cuts, but every scene within the show has no cuts, basically. So unless there's like a time cut or location cut, we don't cut. Like, so there's not traditional coverage where, we're filming one person, then the next person. Every scene is one, like continuous shot, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was mostly to add to like the stress of the tone of the show. Like it felt like it was a little more like unrelenting and immersive, and because it never settles into like a pattern, it kind of keeps you off kilter all the time, basically, and it's stressful. Like we wanted it to feel stressful to watch, basically.
And that music, the music behind it, it's like Birdman-ish.
It literally is the composer who did Birdman.
It is? Oh, yeah.
But we kept using Birdman as the temp music, and then we were like, we should just hire this guy. Antonio Sanchez is his name, and he's amazing. And he's a brilliant jazz drummer, and the show's a lot of jazz throughout it, but sort of like it's like arrhythmic drumming, basically, that like never quite settles into like a steady thing. And again, it sort of is always like keeping you a little off balance, I think. But no, it's literally the guy who did Birdman.
That's so cool.
If you're gonna steal, just steal.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really cool. And it's such a an ode to Hollywood, but I like that it's comedy.
Yeah.
I like that it's like, there's been stuff that, tries to make, the stories about this town and that thing, but to have it be pure comedy is great.
For sure. I mean, I was like, Larry Sanders Show was always like my favorite thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I never grew up loving The Player, but I wouldn't say it's like an outward hilarious movie for the most part. Like, there's funny stuff in it, obviously, but it's not like it's, really trying to kill on a moment-to-moment basis. But like when we were young, Larry Sanders was like the thing that like really blew our minds and opened our eyes. And like, I think the first thing to like really like pull back the curtain and, I just remember that the first episode was like, started with Bob Saget, I think, on the couch, and then it cuts backstage. Like, what the fuck was that? When he asked me the fucking questions, and it was just like, again, especially at the time with him, like it was just like such a oppositional view of how you were used to seeing him, know, and it always just left such an impression on us, and that to us was like always a goal, and we wanted to make something that was really funny. Like we were outwardly trying to like kill and to create like plots and storylines that really like ratcheted up the comedy as they went along, and really, we tried to really like structure the show in like a true like situational comedy way. Like, and it's really episodic. It's not like a 5-hour long movie, you know what I mean? Like, we really wanted it to like essentially it's like one joke per one like comedic idea per episode that it's like really bringing to like a heightened more and more kind of excruciating place. But we wanted it to be very simple and propulsive, and hopefully like hit a comedic crescendo that really is just like, again, something that is just kind of unexpected and hopefully just makes you laugh really hard.
Yeah. Which is very cool combination as you talk about it, because it really feels like a combination of that great TV comedy, but set in this film facade. It's really, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, it really like, I think it's like I grew up watching, like, I mean, I was obsessed with Seinfeld and Larry Sanders, and like I loved these shows where it was like there were great episodes of television, and that's something we talked a lot about as we were like constructing the show. Was like, I think the kind of, again, like the norm with these streaming shows is that it's telling one big long story, and our show kind of does that, but like this idea of kind of using the visual language of these newer shows, which are very cinematic and have every bell and whistle that a movie has, you know, as far as time and resources and cameras and stuff like that go, and talent, you know, but to really focus it in on like a classic sitcom, like episode structure in a lot of ways.
Yeah, right. And it gives you relief as a viewer. You're not like, you watch some of these dramas and you're like, this feels like a book report.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta always. I'm always confused. I was watching like, what was it called? Night Shift, Night Call, the Netflix one about the spies, Night Action,
right?
A Night Agent, and I was watching Night Agent, Reacher, and Day of the Jackal simultaneously, and I was just like, I don't know, it's too much spy plot. Like I can't keep track of it. It was just too much spy plot. But I think that's the nice thing about our show is like, you don't have to. There's not a running storyline. You really have to like be remembering on a week to week.
I truly, just as a fan, thank you. It was like such a relief.
Yeah,
I know. People were like all into Game of Thrones and they're like with these imaginary worlds and people and stuff. I'm like, I'm out. I don't know what is happening.
It's like, even like, I love Severance so much, but I when the second season started, I like sat down to watch it. I was like, I'll watch like one of these like 20-minute YouTube videos like recapping the last season, and like 5 minutes in, I was like, I don't remember anything that happened on the show. And I rewatched the entire first season like in like a weekend leading up to the second season. And it's a great experience, but I just simply don't have the brain capacity to do that with a lot of television.
I really
shows.
don't. It's ridiculous.
It's too much. They're asking too much of us.
You know, one thing I really love about another thing I really love about the studio is the first of all, in the first one, the complete lack of thought and consideration that your character or any of the people that are working with you in the studio has for just throwing all of your beliefs out the window.
Oh yeah.
When you're faced with adversity.
Oh yes.
And at one point, Ike says something to you like, "Why are you lying so much? Why you can't stop lying?"
I know. I just say, I don't know.
It really is such a.
It rings true.
It rings true.
Oh yes.
It really rings true.
Oh yeah, Hollywood, especially though. I mean, those studio people are very self-preservational, and I think that's what like we would see was so funny, and one of the reasons we thought the show was a funny idea is because like we become friends with a lot of these people, and like they love movies just as much as we do. They grew up loving movies. They love directors just as much as we do. They love movie stars and the magic of Hollywood just as much as we do. Except with their job, they have to make all those people hate them and constantly lie to those people and manipulate those people. And they don't have to, but like a lot of them do because it just makes their lives easier and it makes what they're doing more defensible, and it makes
time.
It just makes it a little less likely that they'll get fired in their heads for something they're doing, you know, and it's like, it ultimately was just like a comedic job to us because like we would see these people, and I remember once like we were working at Sony and we were friendly with one of the executives, and he was physically hiding from a movie star in his office because the movie just came on. The guy's movie just came on tracking, and it wasn't tracking well.
Oh no!
And he was like there for a meeting, and we like came to like drop something off, and he was like literally like don't let them know I'm here, because like it was like Denzel Washington's gonna yell at me and I don't want him to. I love him. Right? He's my favorite, and he's gonna scream at me if he sees me.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, that's pretty funny.
It's really funny. That's what's so heartbreaking about your character is you really play that you love film, you love these celebrities, you love everything, and nobody wants you around.
No one
it's
wants
so
you around.
heartbreaking. It really, when you're like coming on set and when you're to go to talk to these people, like you're just so psyched, and everybody's just because of the position you have, which is now the head of the studio, they're so bummed out.
And that's again, like it's sometimes very real, and you give them their own little video village, and you sort of keep them, separate, and you kind of like sequester them away from the real action, and you take turns going to talk to them, and sort of like offer yourself up to like distract them. You know what I mean? And it is a bummer. And again, like and a lot of them love it. Like a lot of them. again, really view themselves as like additive to the process in a lot of ways, you know,
in the movies.
And like they view themselves as filmmakers, you know, which is debatable.
How are you with testing and stuff? I know Judd always talks about that he really finds value in testing movies and putting stuff out in front of people. And I think he's working on something with his daughter right now, and he was talking about testing it. What's your feeling on that?
With our movies, we do it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sort of new to, like, I've never been this involved in making a television show, you know what I mean? Like, I've been in shows and we've produced a lot of shows, but I've never like been like, it's never been like this much the focus of my attention, and I've never been like this much the center of the process, I guess, in a lot of ways. And so, with our movies, we test a ton, and that feedback is so helpful. But with TV, the infrastructure is so different for testing, you know what I mean? And it's also like, what experience are you trying to replicate? So, and what's funny though also is like, you know, as we were making the show, we shot it in this very specific way, and we were sort of foregoing a lot of the things that would give us options in the editing room, because we were really like baking ourselves into one like highly refined product basically, and if we didn't like a line, we really couldn't take it out. If we wished the rhythm was different, we couldn't manipulate it, and so that was really fun and exciting and scary in a lot of ways, but it's completely antithetical to like a testing process because you can't change anything. And so as we were finishing the show and as we were making it, what was funny is the whole time me and Evan were like, this is a great like risk for us to take, but what's sort of nice is that, you know, we're never going to be like sitting in a movie theater full of people watching it because it's a television show. And so we won't, you know, we can just hypothesize, everyone will laugh at it, but we'll never actually be faced with like the immediate scrutiny of like an audience receiving it well or not. And then the first place we played the show was like last week in Austin, Texas, in a theater with like 1,000 people. And I was like really nervous because again, like I was like, we said we never wanted to do this. The whole premise was that we weren't ever going to do this. And like the most people I'd watched it with was like in a room with like this many people. Like there was like, we were like our sound mix with like 7 people. So we didn't test the show. I never saw it in a room with like people. We never showed it to our friends. We showed it to, we brought like very small groups of people into the editing room a few times and showed it to them and got notes and stuff like that. And often we'd be like, great note. And they'd leave and be like, we can't do any of that stuff. Like we literally can't do that. And so, this was very different because we were really like locking ourselves into something that was in many ways immovable. And so, like generally when we test, you're like, oh, if that joke doesn't play, we swap it out for one of these other jokes. But,
so then at this point, the only thing you're doing by testing it is making the
torturing ourselves,
making the executives very nervous.
See what doesn't play exactly. So we were like, maybe we don't need to do that.
I liked it. I like that you got Soderbergh mentioned in there. Mm-hmm. He's my guy.
He's great.
Yeah, he's the only one that puts me in things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe not with that.